Hi, I'm Heather Noël from the GivingGameFoundation.com. I am empathic and clairaudient. My friend Victoria is clairvoyant, and we work together to bring light into the awakening that we're all going through at this time. Today, we would like to speak about the Law of Allowance. Now, the best way to understand this is to think of how much you appreciate it when someone else allows you to be yourself, when they do not get involved with your choices. And you may find that someone will make a suggestion, but a suggestion is great if the person is not attached to an outcome. And so think of it that way to begin. And think about how much you don't like it when someone does not allow you to be yourself, right? And so now take a look at this and look at this for yourself. Where is it that you are not allowing someone to be themselves? And do you have any ideas about that? You may not have this issue at all, but we're just going to work with you, or because this will, right? Because this will help others. If we work with you, it'll help others. So if you don't actually have that experience, then you can also remember another experience where you did come from that place of not allowing someone else to be themselves.
Wow.
So is there any place where you are not allowing someone else to be themselves?
Well, gosh, I could write a book on that one. Sensitive. Being really sensitive, and I always go to the place, well, how would I feel? You know, and I'm like, wow, that doesn't seem fair. And then I start going into, I got to go heal him. And what I'm seeing clairvoyantly is that I'm trying to move forward and past the issue, and all of a sudden I hit right into a big, thick rock. And so then I'm like, I have this little arrow trying to pound through the rock, and it's like, that's not working. So I'm literally trying to hit this rock and not moving a thing. And I realized that I'm not responsible for other people's karma or their path. And so when I'm trying to make everything feel better, I'm just doing nothing but setting myself up for being stuck in a whole wad of emotion, and I can't even move forward. I'm just stuck. And so, and I'm stuck because it's none of my business. It's none of my business.
Yeah. And you see, this ties in perfectly with the law of free will, because the law of allowance is supporting that each person has their own free will, right? And you have your free will. So when you use your free will to apply the law of allowance, just notice what happens. When you understand that every person is here playing their own game, they get to do it their way, then it's easier to understand the power of the law of allowance, isn't it? Like, you want that. So let yourself take a look at some time in your life when someone was not allowing you to be yourself. And what do you think of? What pops into your head?
Well, what I'm seeing clairvoyantly is blinders on the person that's not seeing me as who I truly am, and then I put the blinders on myself, and so I go along with it. But yet here I am, really glowing with this energy, and with blinders on, and it really makes the blinders really pop because they're black, and black blinders. And the person that's looking at me is just sitting in their own little shadow energy with their blinders on, and so it's like, yeah, I'm seeing it where I'm wanting to float off. I want to get up in that higher energy, which floats above all this lower stifling energy, and it's right above my head, trying to pull me out of that situation.
Right. So do you have a specific thing that you can think of, a real life experience that you can think of where you didn't feel that you were being allowed to be yourself? Because this will help the listeners make a connection to their own life. All right? So can you think of something, probably in childhood, where you were not allowed to be yourself?
Oh, yeah. Gosh, as a child, Oh, man.
Go back to the earliest thing that you can remember. And what we're going to do is shift this energy throughout time, space, and all dimensional realities. So go back to the earliest time. This would be like the causal seed of not being allowed to be yourself.
Okay. Wow. I know of instances where I wasn't allowed to express myself, like when my siblings would tease me and whatnot. I would whine and cry and all that, but I was told to be quiet. So that I remember that. I'm sorry. That's all that's coming in.
That's all right. That's fine. That it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be any big deal, because really these patterns of whatever you're going through, these patterns for everybody start in childhood. This type of not being allowed to do what you want starts way back, and it makes an impression, right? And then you keep playing out that impression. So we would like to show this to you and the audience how this works. So if you go back to the first time that you can remember, and it doesn't matter if it's the actual first time, but this time you're just going to go back to your little girl, and this time you're going to treat her the way you would like to have been treated, with love. And so you sit down with her and you put her on your lap, and you just tell her, I love you, I'm your future self, and I am here to tell you that everything that you feel is okay. It's all okay. You can feel your feelings. Everything's okay. And then begin to talk to her with love and the way that and with the words that she needs to hear. Okay? Because there is and it won't just be the words, you will also be just communicating love to her. And notice this, when you do this with your little girl, and she's receiving this love energy, and she's receiving your adult understanding. See, as an adult, you can look back and you have the reasoning ability to see what was happening. But as a child, your little girl doesn't understand. And what's interesting is that even if your mother had done this, you and your mother don't have the connection that you and your future self have. Right?
Well,
in other words, you... Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, so in this situation, it's all coming to me now. I was in the car, and it was a cousin of my mother's, her husband, and so my siblings were teasing me the whole time, messing with me, and I would cry. And so at the gas station, her cousin's husband whispered in my ear, he says, you cry one more time, he said, I'm pulling the car over and I'm giving you a whipping. Now, he didn't tell my mom. Nobody was around, so he whispered that into my ear. So now I'm looking at my smaller child from that whole situation, and I see where, and I look at chakras, and I see her third chakra was just being sucked dry. Everybody was messing with me because they were taking my energy away from me. So I'm telling her it's okay, and I'm protecting her third chakra, and I see that it affected the sixth chakra, my psyche, and my fourth chakra, and I felt very unsafe, very, very unsafe and alone in that car. But I did learn something, not to react to my siblings. And so as I didn't react, then they quit teasing me. But I was pretty young then. That was a pretty good lesson to learn at the time. But that I'm also seeing now how it was just draining my energy, and it totally flipped me into a fear and survival mode and victimization mode. All three of them.
Okay, perfect. So now what you can do is you can literally take your little girl's hand after he said this. You just take her out of the car and you go, you know what? We can drive in a car ourselves. We're going to go by ourselves. And they can keep going. And they won't miss you at all because you're going to be with me. And I'll tell Mom that you're coming with me, and she'll be fine with that. You know, you just make up a new story, and you get in the car together, and you know, you can take her wherever she would like to go. You can take her to the park. You can do anything. And just be with her, but hold this love for her and tell her that she doesn't ever, ever have to have that experience again, and that love is all there is, and that he cannot harm her, everything. You just, whatever she needs to hear, you just bring that through to her. And just take a moment and think about it. And anybody on the call, if you've ever felt unsafe or anything like that, just take a moment to feel yourself changing what happened, because every possibility already exists. So you're not, you may think, oh, I'm just making up a story. It doesn't matter, because from this little girl's point of view or your little boy's point of view, they are going to actually feel different. And you can create a story that works for them so that they feel safe and they feel loved and they feel protected, and they never feel that they have to do anything frightening or anything against their will again. Right? Mm-hmm. So just let yourself fit, so you feel into that. And you actually and understand with your little girl, you don't even have to say anything. You can literally just, like psychically send her the feeling of being loved and protected, and then do whatever physical thing is necessary. So you could sit with her in the car even and be like, and you could use your psychic abilities to shut everybody up and make them stop picking on her. You could do anything. It's like you just be creative, think of whatever would be the most fun thing to do, and do it. Okay. And you will find that when you can feel that she feels better, so your ability to be in your imagination, fully imaging what it is that would make her feel better and feel love instead of fear. And when you can physically feel that in your body, that she gets it, you'll notice that it'll shift how you feel. The event will completely change, because it'll literally create a new timeline. And that's how it works. That's one of the back doors to the game. Okay, so now can you feel that with her? Can you feel her completely safe? And did you create a new scenario where she's like, oh my gosh, this is great? And then you tell her, I will always, always be here for you. You'll never have to go through anything like this again. I'm here for you. Okay? Yes. Just let her feel that. Okay, go ahead.
I have, and then I gave her a doll to hold on, a big fluffy doll that the eyes are kind of closed. I forget those dolls were that had the eyes closed. They were praying all the time. I gave her one of those stuffed dolls because, and she's holding it, and I put like this, it's almost in like this egg of protection around her, and she's focused nothing but on the doll and holding the doll, and that doll is like me giving her a hug, and that's what I told her. And
perfect.
So I'm with you. It was perfect. Yeah, she feels very
beautiful. Perfect. Okay, so now so once you've communicated to her that you're always there for her, that your energy is there, and that she's got this egg of protection around her, and I will do this protection thing because it's really powerful, and I'm just going to repeat this so everyone can hear it. It's called the Tube of Light. It's mighty I am presence, enfold me now in your magic magnetic tube of love, light, and purity, and make it so powerful no human creation can pass through. Infinitely and divinely open only to thee and thy perfection, I thank thee, it is done now, everlasting and expanding, mighty I am, mighty I am, mighty I am. And so now that she's got this tube of protection around her, you just tell her that that's always there for her. And that any time that she's having any problems, that not only will you be there, but you can put a tube of light around the other people. So we'll do that right now. We're just going to put a tube of light around everybody in the car. So that tube of light, that love around them, actually, if they want to miscreate, it just gets bounced right back. If they're pushing out, negative energy, it just bounces right back to them, and she's never affected by it. And they are only affected by their own creation. Instead of it going out and affecting others, it just stays in that tube of light. Okay, so now take a breath. And how does that feel? How do you feel now when you think back?
I feel very safe. Very, very safe.
Right.
And actually empowered somewhat. It's like, okay, so this is my space, and no one's going to mess with it now.
Yeah. Now notice that is the law of allowance in action right there. You can put a tube of light around anybody who's doing something that is not in your, that's fear-based, right? That's just pure love that you're surrounding them in. So that's like the highest level of the law of allowance is that you're absolutely allowed to say or think whatever you want. I'm putting a tube of light around you so that's just going to stay with you. It's not coming to me, and you can do what you want. So you're actually creating your own space, your own little bubble, and this is a wonderful thing to do anytime that you're in a situation where you can't get up and walk away or hang up the phone. Right? So if you are stuck in a situation, let's say you're in an airplane or something where or you're at work and you can't change what's going on, oh my goodness, try the tube of light. You'll be shocked. So now let's go and look at there's a current person that you were dealing with that you don't have to talk about, but what we want to say is just try this. The law of allowance, understanding this tube of light. So put the tube of light around this person that is, having a lot of upset. You just put the tube of light around them as well as yourself.
Okay.
All right. Now just let yourself feel the difference. And, of course, you're really fast, just so everybody knows. But the more you do this, the quicker you'll see it. But now when you take a breath, and you put use that tube of light. And now how do you feel? How do you feel about that situation now?
Relief. I'm detached from it now.
Right? And don't you feel that do you feel that law of allowance coming through you just naturally? And all you're doing is working with love. You're not fighting against it. The reason that you felt so much discomfort is there was this push and pull back and forth, right? I want this. This is wrong. I need to go to a lawyer. I'm going to on this other person's behalf, right? And when you said, you see, you initially said, well, I'm going to step out of it. It's none of my business, right? This wasn't your problem. But there was a part of you that was not allowing it to be okay, that it just is what it is, and you're not a part of it. But notice how it shifts everything when you apply the tube of light to yourself and the other person. You're doing it with love. That did not shift the energy a lot?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yep. Yes.
And
so,
I see, putting the tube of light on them also will help them to focus on themselves so that they can work their own emotional energy around the situation instead of giving it to others. I feel that's what the tube of light does.
Yeah, and it's kind of up to them. It just gets mirrored back very quickly as opposed to, like you said, going out. It gets right there and they feel what they're doing. But it's up to them whether or not they want to learn from it. Right? So they may learn, but they may not. It doesn't matter. It's just an opportunity. Everyone has the opportunity to move forward whenever they're ready. But what happens is that most people don't choose to move forward until they've had enough pain. Think about that. You don't, because it has to be your choice. It has to be your free will. And so no matter what, it's a beautiful thing that you just do the tube of light and then it's none of your business. It's not like, well, I'm doing this and then this will have this effect. You don't know. You're just putting love out there. You just go love, 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 right? So now when you tune in, when we spoke earlier about this, you know what that feeling was when you first were talking about it, and now take the feeling that you have now and just notice there was a huge shift. And what do you see? Yeah. What was the beginning? So if you were to look at it in color, this is a really good way for people to understand this. Look at the energy you feel as a color. So the energy you felt about this person as a color, what color came up? Because it wasn't really your problem. It was more her problem being projected at you, right? It was like right? So when you look at that energy coming at you and how it was feeling, what color would you say pops into your mind first?
Oh, man. Very dense and dark.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, and I could see a little bit of golden energy trying to get through this darkness, but it's almost in layers, and so it's captured like a prison in this dense energy. It's like
perfect.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So then, how does it feel when now that you've done the tube of light with her and the tube of light around yourself? Now, what do you see?
Oh wow! So I see the golden energy pop up onto that 5D, or the allowance. What I saw as the allowance level, it pops right up into it, and it escapes out of that jail. And so, yeah, it's golden. It's very nice, very, very nice.
Beautiful.
And free.
Beautiful.
Free's the word. Free. I've been free from the whole situation. Like, yay.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
And like, you don't have to go back into it. Can you feel that? You do not have to go back into it at all. You've done everything that you need to do, and now you're done. And you get to do other fun things and not go there. Yeah. And just notice that it's the feeling that comes first. The reason you felt stuck was you were up in your mind analyzing it, but you weren't working with the feeling. The feeling is what was affecting you. Then you were, so it was like pushing a button there that was actually, what's interesting is it was actually asking you to go back to your childhood. It was connected to this time when you were a little girl, right? Because you weren't being, that law of allowance, like this person doing what they were doing was bringing up the law of allowance. Like, why does it involve you? Like, if you really get the law of allowance, you don't go to another person to fix things. You go, oh, wait, this is for me. So now when you look back and you look at this feeling that you had as a small child of being trapped and not being allowed to be yourself, didn't you feel that same kind of trapped energy with this relative contacting you and being upset?
Well, absolutely. I was in the back seat, and it was like a prison. And if I even made one peep, he'd just turn around and look at me. I'm like, oh, he's going to get me. And so, it was like a prison. And so, I couldn't run.
And this is... Right? And would you ever have made that connection that what was going on with her was actually bringing up an old feeling from when you were a little girl, right? But here's the beautiful, right? So here's the beautiful thing. You can make anything work for you because every single message that is coming through the game, right, it's a message for you. And when you understand that the actual message from this person, that you were having this being dumped on. Now think about it. It was the same energy because she was dumping all this emotional energy, and then you were feeling responsible. And that's kind of how it was with the brothers teasing and this guy, doing what he did and whispering in your ear and you not telling your mom what he said. Now notice that your little girl felt so unempowered that she couldn't even tell her mom. Right?
Mm. Yeah, okay. My mom would have been all over him.
Okay, so why don't you go back for just one moment and empower your little girl to tell your mom straight out what he said to her. And just take that moment right now. So she's got her doll. She knows you're there. She knows you're safe. And you pull over for gas. And does he get out of the car? Who gets out of the car to do the gas?
We all got out of the car. It was a
perfect. So you get out of the car and you go to your mom and you say, Mom, I want to tell you something. You have your little girl tell her the truth and give her that power right now.
Okay.
And then let her watch how your mom handles. Was it your uncle? Is that her brother?
I know it was her cousin's husband.
Her cousin's husband. So you let yourself watch how your mom deals with him.
Yes, indeed.
Okay? Okay? Great. So, is he ever going to whisper in your ear again?
No, I think he's wishing he was dead about now.
Yeah.
After my mom took care of him.
Right? Okay. All right. So she needed to see that. She needed to see a woman stand up to a man, and she needed to see that she did know what her mom would do, and that no one can make her afraid. And can you imagine that she would never be afraid of telling the truth again? Because that was one of the first times where she was realizing or believed. Now notice it was a choice. She chose to believe that she couldn't tell the truth. And this is a big deal. This is what happens in sexual abuse, all kinds of things, where children believe I can't tell the truth, or if I do, they won't believe me, and there's a whole story. But there's also a storyline where you do get to tell the truth, and it does work out. So all you do is pick that timeline that goes that way, right? So now come back to this moment and feel into it, because you actually shifted that timeline so that now in this present moment, that changed her whole life. Your little girl, her whole life went on a different trajectory. So now in this moment, right, notice how does this open up your throat chakra? Does this open up your ability to confidently tell the truth?
Yes. It tells me that I matter.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. I matter. And so
you
where
matter.
I was trying to keep peace, I was trying to keep peace. I was the peacemaker of the family, evidently. And so that's why I didn't want to cause any problems and whatnot. And it's like, wow, I see the little girl sitting in the seat, holding her little stuffed thing and sitting there in her little tube of light saying, wow, I matter, and sitting there owning the space. And I would have never done that as a little girl. Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And notice how she doesn't need to cry anymore. Because the reason she was crying was she didn't think she mattered. So she couldn't sit there quietly and everything. And also, when you put the tube of light around her, it also really helped her, because your brothers were putting out so much energy that was drawing on your energy. They were teasing you. They were doing stuff, and they were literally pulling on her energy to do it. And by her knowing that she's protected and sitting there in her own world, and that's the truth. Everybody lives in their own world. And what was happening was she was because she was having all these reactions, she was becoming a part of other people's version of reality. So when your uncle or whoever he was, the cousin, whatever he was doing, because you were afraid, you went into his version of reality. And because you were afraid of your brothers, you were taking on, each time you'd interact with each of them, you were taking on their version of reality. So when you put this tube of light around your little girl and you are there for her always, she doesn't even, when she can just close her eyes and connect with you, and you can go anywhere with her. You can be like, let's go. And she could literally just be so involved in that she doesn't, time passes like nothing, right? And she's just not listening to anybody anymore. And she's only talking with you and having this conversation with you and feeling all your love. And now it silences everything. You can be in a very noisy place and be in complete inner silence. And this is the essence of being able to meditate is to truly be able to go within and feel love. And you can do it anywhere. Some people are like, you got to sit on your pillow and it's got to be quiet. But actually, you're far better off if you can do it in a train station or any place, right? Any place that's busy and crazy, if you can just go within, right? So what if you recognize that she's creating that ability as a little girl, so that as she gets older, she's always able to take back her, she doesn't have to take back her power, because she never gives it away. Never.
Wow.
And that's what you're creating. Yeah. Yeah. And so everyone listening to this call, just know that you can do the same thing. Just take this concept, apply this to your own child and your own situation, and work with this, right? Everything that you're learning right now, just take it into your own world. And it's easy to do. Just go with whatever you're feeling about a situation, drop the story, follow the feeling back into your childhood. And everything will show up, and you will have no brand new feelings after, at the very latest, your early 20s. Everything else is a repeat. You're repeating that same pattern over and over. But you will notice that once you go back and you do a clearing like this and you work with the tube of light, you will discover that it's not necessary to keep having that experience, because once you go back to this time and you choose to heal it throughout time, space, and all dimensional realities, that will do exactly that. You are healing it all at once. And if you feel you need to go back, as we did with Victoria, then go back and shift something else, because you will see that more things will start to pop up. If you didn't quite get it all, go back and go work with it again. All right?
That's perfect. And another thing that comes up too is that, when I was little, it was okay to mess with children's minds, kind of in that way. Children were not really free; they weren't allowed to be free. And so, that's just my voice for children now and parents, that are listening. To really take care of their children and love them and support them and make them feel safe, because they haven't been on the planet that long. And so let them feel safe from the beginning, right?
Yes. Now, understand this. You cannot make your child feel safe, but you can certainly set it up so that if they choose to feel safe, they can. But the thing to understand is that every being who is born into this game has no memory of where they've come from, the other games they've played. So it's really important, and we say it that way to keep it game-like, because if you go, well, it's a past life, we love the idea of a past game lifetime. If you look at it like a game, it really shifts how you perceive this. But the thing to understand is you don't know what your child has come here to do. You don't know what anybody else has come here to do. You all have your own unique path. So you can certainly do your best to set up a safe environment, but you don't have to control it. And you can understand that whatever your child is going through, you do your best, and you've got an agreement there. You have an agreement with your child that whatever's happening is what's meant to happen. Right? And we say this because sometimes people go back and maybe they look at how they were with a child and they could have done it better, and they go into guilt and all that kind of thing. That is not necessary. All you need to do is go back and heal yourself in that time period. Like if you feel you didn't do it right as a parent or you could have done it better, go back and give love to yourself, because whatever happened is perfect. It was part of what was meant to happen. That's why it happened. So one thing that you can think about is if someone left off in a past lifetime where they were bitter and they did not forgive and they die, guess what? They have to come back in on that level, and they will absolutely choose a family and a situation and an environment where they will need to forgive. It's just another opportunity. So nobody needs to micromanage it. It's how it works. So whatever's happened perfectly. It needed to be exactly the way it happened. Right? Sure. But you can still go back and love that part of you that is confused and goes, oh, I could have done it better. And you'll say, no, sweetheart, it's all is love. Everything's happening perfectly. You did the best you could, and you don't need to worry. Because whatever your child was experiencing was exactly what they contracted to come here and experience. Wow. Whatever it was, right? Because, and to really get to the bottom of it, would take going into like one of the past lives and there will be other talks up where, like there's one with twins that will be posted where they go into past lives, and you can learn how to do that. So that will be labeled with past lives on there, so that, or past life healing, and there will be a connection to that, so that people can go and do that. But when you start to see this, the thing is, you think people in general believe this is it. I was born, I had these experiences, and there's like this, that's it. But when you understand that what happened in other game lifetimes determines who your parents are. You pick the perfect parents to have the experiences that you need to have. And so you cannot protect. So this is part of the law of allowance, isn't it? Right? The idea of being, you do your best, but then you let go. And you understand that everybody, your children, everybody, have their own game that they're playing, and they're creating their own world. And all you have to do is have more than one child to see that clearly. You can have the same parents, same home, same environment, and you have these children that have all different experiences and all different perceptions. That's because they've come in with their own game to play, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah, right? And so this law of allowance assists your children in having the experience that they came here to experience. Now, you also want to allow yourself to feel love through all of it, right? Think of everything that you can think of. What if you applied love to every single thing that's ever happened to you and went, love was there, love was making this happen? And what if you perceived your entire life as perfect? You just chose it. You went, you know what? I'm going to see this as perfect. I don't care what it looks like to anybody else. I'm going to see it as perfect. I'm going to believe with all my heart that every single thing that has ever happened to me was happening 100% to my benefit, always. Now, whether I saw it or not was the issue. But from this perspective, I can look back and see that absolutely everything that has ever happened to me has happened 100% for my benefit, because of what I came here to do and who I came here to be and the game I came here to play, and that I want to get to the next level. So everything you see from childhood is the level that you came to work on, right? You came in with that feeling as a child of I have no voice. You had that in another lifetime, right? You died with the belief that you had no voice.
Right.
Okay.
I sure did.
Yep. So if everybody can understand that, everyone listening, let this in. You are playing a game. You were born into this reality. You chose to forget who you are. That is true of everybody. And if you can recognize that every part of the game is supporting you to get to the next level, no matter what's coming up, then you can go, it's all perfect. It's perfect. So if you can see that for yourself, and it may take a while to get to where you can see it, but that's the truth. It is all perfect. Everything is working out perfectly. It's all about love. It's all about you remembering who you are. That's the fun. It's like, if you look at it like a dream, it's like you decided that you wanted to have a lucid dream. And we're willing to bet that just about everybody who's still on the call has always thought, oh, I'd love to have a lucid dream. Well, guess what? We're showing you how to have a lucid dream when you wake up in your waking dream.
Wow.
Right? Haven't you always wanted to know how to have lucid dreams? Well, you do, but other people, they don't really know how to do that. But this is showing you how you wake up. Yes.
Well, I was going to say, so just doing what we just did with the little girl back in that instance, I'm realizing that there's so much involved with that one instant that I came in with not having a voice, holding the responsibility of everybody in my environment. There's so many pictures attached to that one instant. And once I set myself in the right energy, the taking care of myself energy and having a voice and I matter and all that, all of a sudden my shoulder doesn't hurt anymore. I'm not holding responsibility for the whole world and everybody in it. And I'm free. I mean, I'm physically feeling it, and I'm seeing all of this wonderful stuff opening up for me, and how along the way, you know, I did have a voice, and I could have said, okay, hey, I had a mean teacher that was very, very mean, and I could have said something instead of trying to keep peace all the time and being responsible for everybody. I mean, there's so much that has opened up just by going back to that one experience.
Yes, and this is what. Yes, and that's because it was so far back. Because that was what we call the causal seed. It was like that seed was planted in your subconscious, right? But you can see that this was connected to before you were born. You set yourself up to have that experience, and that is true of everyone, right? And so we want to just go back before so that people can make this full connection. So you have your sleeping dream and then the waking dream. They act the same. It's important to understand that your dream acts the same. And that's why you can go back as a child to your childhood, clear that energy, choose love, choose empowerment, and bam, it hits you in this moment. It's because the entire timeline changed. All those old pictures of what you didn't say to the teacher, it goes just like cards just falling down. You know, when you set up the domino effect. You know, it's like you hit that one domino as a child, and boom, all the dominoes go down. And then in this moment, this is the only real moment, and the only thing real is love, and that's the truth. And that feeling of the shoulder is when you're shouldering the burdens of the world, right? You're shouldering the burdens of others. Okay, perfect. So now, and that is so beautiful that you feel it instantly. And this can show up as a physical healing, as an emotional healing, as a mental, emotional, all of it, spiritual. Everything can happen, right? Because it just takes that choice. It doesn't even take ability. It takes willingness and choice to go back into that place and clear the energy, right? Just like you did. So thank you so much for showing others how to do this.
Thank you.
So we want to take this one step further. We want to take the law of allowance to one more level, which is the law of allowance of everything going on in the world right now. So everybody take a moment, just tune into what is it that's bothering you, whether it's politics, the medical system, these different things that are going on, the masks, whatever it is. Now, what you want to do is just tune into the thing that bothers you the most. And then what you're going to do is let go of what that, first of all, feel into it. Where do you feel it in your body? Okay, so if you want to do this, if you have something that bugs you, Victoria, tune in, but we'll do this for everybody so that anybody can just see this. So tune into what bothers you, and then you want to magnify that. And then let yourself feel the feeling. Notice where it is in your body. All right, and then drop the story. It's so important to understand that everything going on in the world is just a 3D story, right? So the more that you're in that 3D thing, and a lot of people are starting to go, I'm just so bored with this. I don't care anymore. I don't care about the fraud. I don't care about it. Like, whatever, let it work itself out. I don't have any energy around it anymore. Because when you have energy around it, when you're thinking about it, worried about it, all that, you're putting fear into something that is tying you into 3D. So this is where the law of allowance is really amazing to work with, because you go back, you feel where you're feeling it, do just what we did, go back to your childhood, go love that little child who was feeling whatever that is that you're feeling around being upset right now with what's going on in the world. and you're going to follow it. So do you have anything that you've noticed that kind of was upsetting for you in the world, and can you don't have to even say what it was, but if there's something going on the big scale, right, on the politics or vaccines or whatever it might be, but what is it that, do you feel anything where you feel a lot of energy around it?
So you don't want me to go specifically just where I feel it internally, or I'm...
Well, yeah. I mean, if you have something specific, you can say it. If it's not specific, it's just a worry or whatever, you can say that as well. It's whatever you want to share is fine.
Oh, okay. Well, I think so this is the biggie for me, is when I'm realizing, all the people that we put on pedestals, the actors, the politicians, blah blah blah, who pose as women and they're not women, and who pose as the perfect person, and yet they're doing horrendous things to children. And so that's the stuff that just lit me up.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. That would light up a lot of people. And also probably what will light you up as well is all the people who don't know this, who then go into attack mode because you're like, hey, this is what's really going on. No, it's not. You're just, conspiracy theory. So there's like a whole big ball of information here. So what you do is you see that. Now, let yourself feel your emotion around it. How do you feel about, and really, isn't it about deception? It's huge. It's like deception beyond anything that people can imagine. You think it's a big deal to be deceived by a parent, but think about being deceived by the entire world that you were raised in and your educational system, all of its deception. So how do you feel about deception?
Angry. Very angry.
Angry. Okay. So now you do the same thing. Go back to the first time you remember being angry.
Oh, okay.
Okay? What was happening?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was really little. I was in a crib. I was very angry. And I can't remember what it was that triggered me. So, but I'm the type, I can get mad, throw all my stuffed animals, and then walk out the door and I'm happy again. It's just me. I have to throw a little fit, and then I'm good. That's okay. I can't remember. I was too young.
That's okay. It's okay. But you just remember being in your crib and being angry, right? Could you get out of your crib, or were you little enough that you couldn't get out?
I could get out.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now just go right there, and you just go, I'm going to heal this throughout time, space, and all dimensional realities. That because you weren't just angry, you'd get into a rage. You were like, whoa, right? Yeah, you were a little powerhouse anger. Okay, so this time, just encourage your little girl that just let her see that she doesn't have to stay in the crib, that she can get out, that she's free. And the fact that she's in her crib being angry, but she can get out of it is a really interesting thing, isn't it?
Yes.
It's one thing to be angry in the crib because you can't get out, but she can get out and she's pissed and she's in the crib. Right?
Right.
Okay. So just let yourself see what that means. It's like like how many people are in prison in their lives and they're angry and they could walk away any time. But they don't.
Right.
And they stay in the crib. Because it's the baby prison, right? It's the baby prison. You got the prison cell and the bars on the cell. Yeah?
Right.
And so so now what you can do is just walk up to her and tell her, and you can just show up to her as an angel.
Okay.
And just give her love. And now let her tell you what she's really upset about, because she'll know. You don't remember, but she knows. What's she upset about?
Well, the first thing that I got was that, again, she's carrying everybody else's, like I could see that even though they're teasing or whatever, they weren't being true to their higher self. And so I was literally taken on their energy. and then taking it in my room and then tossing it through my stuffed animals. I was, again, being responsible for all the energy in the room and then carrying it.
Right. Okay. Now look. So just bring her love. Put the tube of light around her again. Put the tube of light around everything that's coming into her room. All right? Let her feel that love and tell her she's not responsible for the family. She's not responsible for everybody in the family. They are responsible for themselves. She's only responsible for her thoughts and feelings. And that she can choose love right now. And just let her feel how it feels to choose love. Just let her feel it. Just say, wouldn't you rather feel this? And just put your hand on her heart, put your arms around her, hug her, and let her feel that loving energy and say, wouldn't you rather feel this? And what does she feel? Does she want to feel that?
Yeah, she's hugging me back. She's hugging me back.
Good. Yes. Okay, perfect. And then just say you don't ever, ever need to take on this feeling again. That is totally your choice. It is your choice. It is always, you tell her, it has always been your choice, whether you want to take on everyone's energy or not. And you're not here to heal everybody and fix everybody and save the family. That is not what you're here to do. And I'm going to show you who you're here to be. Now you just take her hand, and then you actually just hold her in your arms, and just let her feel the amazing life that she's here to live. And just show her how much fun it is, that she doesn't have to do it the hard way. She can just be the most fun, happy person ever. Like, it doesn't matter what anybody says or does. She is just so freaking happy and joyful that everybody starts to change around her energy because she takes nothing personally. And just show her that timeline where she becomes like the class clown, like she's just so freaking funny and laughs, and nobody can really get through because she's having so much fun. But even if they are mad, it doesn't matter. She just thinks it's hilarious. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Let her see that. And does she see the fun in doing it that way?
A big smile on her face. She absolutely does.
Okay. Now notice, so now you just tell her that you're always there for her, and you've put the tube of light around her, and that she can do that for herself anytime. You just say, sweetheart, anytime that you're worried, just go tube of light, and you can call me in anytime, and I'll be here for you. So easy. Tube of light. You can remember that. Okay? Right? And so now let yourself look at the connection. You, who get upset by being deceived, right? Had this belief from a little girl, right? You are trying to you want to fix everything that's been happening. You want to take it all on, and this isn't right, and you're doing it wrong. But you see, when you go back to the law of allowance, that's because you're not allowing that whatever is happening is perfect for every individual. You're like, well, it's wrong that this person, they all pretended to be this, but why is that? In the law of allowance, everybody gets to play their own part. Your brothers didn't have to change for you to shift your little girl. Your uncle didn't have to change. Your mom didn't have to change, right? Okay. That's how it works on the grand scale. So for anybody who's like caught up in what's going on, go inside, look at what you're feeling, and don't make it wrong. Just let yourself see it. It's not what's happening out in the world. It's how you feel about it that's everything. And the reason people are upset and worried and all the stuff that's going on is that they are not allowing that it's okay, that all the politicians and the actors and the hoo-ha around the world, whatever's going on, it's not allowing that that's okay. It's just what's happening. And in fact, when you put your negative, angry energy out there, you're supporting the very thing you don't want. Is that or is that not true?
Boy, that's the truth.
Yep. It's just like your little girl crying in the car, and that activated the boys. And then they wanted to tease you more and more and more, right?
Right.
And then when you stopped crying, they had nothing to work with anymore. So that's exactly the same thing that's going on in the world. You want to let go and go, it's okay. If you can change something, great. In this moment, if you can change it, change it. If there's nothing you can do, tell yourself it's none of my business. That's the law of allowance right there. I have no right to make any demands on you. When you look at people that you're caught, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so upsetting. You're making a demand on people and corporations and all this stuff in the world. You're making a demand that other people change to accommodate you. And it ain't never happening. Right? It is never going to happen. And the more that you stay in that energy, the more you support it.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. So what do you see clairvoyantly around that?
So what I see is, again, it's like getting out of a prison, a self-made prison. I'm holding the energy, and so what I'm seeing is, as I work these pictures, it's almost like roller coasters. What we call roller coaster hills. They're up and down and up and down, and we go over them in our vehicles, and that's what it looks like. And it's kind of a roller coaster, working all these different ages and times in my life, but yet it's all going, that golden energy going up, 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 and traveling up on the path of allowance, and what I would call 5D. It's getting above all this crazy drama that motivated me. I'm thankful for all these experiences because wow, it's a celebration to be awakened and being able to look back and go, wow, and look at this, and so it puts the pieces of the puzzle together. It makes everything okay.
It does. And you notice that the crazy drama that's been going on in 2020 and now in 2021, you've had just as much crazy drama before. It's just you made it up. It's just a different storyline, right? You just made up a different story, but it's just as crazy. I mean, really, look back to your 3-year-old, right? Or your little girl in the car. That was as crazy as it gets for her. Right? This is less crazy, actually, and that's true for all children. If you look back at your childhood and how you were treated in high school and grade school and going back and family, and it's basically all this dysfunctional stuff going on in the families, right? And so to you as a child at that time, it was even crazier than all this. Think about it. You in that car with your uncle whispering in your ear that, he was going to whip you if you didn't stop crying, right? Is that more or less dramatic than what's been going on in the last year or so? Way more dramatic, right? So look, you've already been doing drama. Every single person on this call, you've all been doing drama all this time. Why make this a bigger drama? Why make this like, oh my gosh, but this is really big drama, right? It's no bigger. You've already been doing drama, and you've already learned how to stop doing drama, and then you make the exception to the rule. 2020 is going to be the exception to the rule of not doing drama, not going there. So it's the same thing. And so what we say to you is that when you understand that everyone's playing their own game, right? And can you allow that it's all perfect? It's all part of the plan. And your uncle telling you that, he was going to whip you, well, guess what? That was an opening for you to stand your ground as a very little girl. It was just an agreement. He was just playing a part. He said, okay, I'll play that part. I'll be this jerk, and I'll do this. And then you're going to have this opening to do this. but you
Right.
went into fear, right? But now you didn't. Now you switched it. And that's the beauty of this back door to the game. And boy, when people start to understand that there is a back door to the game that they're playing, and they can go in and change that, doesn't that seem like the way that God would do it? Wouldn't God, the Creator, which is all love, create a back door to the game? So yes, you can do duality, you can do right and wrong, good and bad, but there's a back door. And you can go back and remember it differently and choose a new scenario. And then it absolutely works.
Wow.
So, yes, does that give you a new insight into the Law of Allowance?
It rocks my world. Let's put it that way. It's completely, my perspective is completely different. It's like, wow.
Awesome. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us at Psychic Insights. You will often hear me refer to life as a game. To understand this concept on a deeper level, listen to the GAME Audiobook by Heather Noël. There's also a free 60-day e-course at thegivinggamefoundation.com. Links are in the description box. Be sure you like, comment, subscribe, and click on the bell if you'd like to receive more of these talks. Thank you.